In a vast kingdom far away, snow-covered tall mountains touched the sky, and below, clear rivers flowed shining continuously. In this beautiful land, a kind and wise king, Sultan Zion, ruled, whose reign was full of peace. In his kingdom, people were prosperous, markets were bright, and an atmosphere of peace and happiness always remained everywhere. The king had countless treasures, but his most precious treasure was always his royal garden. This garden was like paradise on earth, where colorful flowers bloomed in every season and fragrance spread in the air. Birds sang in soft melodies, and the gentle breeze kept moving the leaves with a rustling sound all the time. At the far end of the garden stood an ancient, magical tree whose branches were raised toward the sky. On this tree grew golden apples that were not ordinary, but spread light and made the night like day. The glow of these apples kept the entire garden illuminated at night, and everything appeared clearly visible. Whoever ate these apples would have a longer life, and their health would also improve. But for some days, a strange problem had arisen, which made the king very worried. Every night when the moonlight fell on the tree, an unknown thief came and stole 1 or 2 apples. By morning, the apples of the tree became fewer, and this matter created restlessness in the king's heart. Sultan Zion appointed many guards, but none of them could ever catch the thief. This continuous loss took away the king's sleep, and he began to remain more worried and angry day by day. The king had 3 daughters, each of whom had a personality and habits different from one another. The eldest daughter, Zareen, was very beautiful, but her heart was always filled with pride and jealousy. She considered others inferior and kept being proud of her beauty and did not respect anyone. The middle daughter, Naira, was kind-hearted but very lazy and comfort-loving and never worked hard. She often kept resting and tried to avoid difficult tasks because she liked comfort more. The youngest daughter, Ayla, was extremely beautiful, intelligent, and very pure-hearted. And she was also brave. Ayla had a deep love for nature, and she often sat in the garden for hours talking to the birds. She watched the leaves flying in the air and quietly kept feeling the beauty of nature all the time. At night, she looked toward the sky and thought about her dreams among the stars. In her heart, there was a desire that one day she would go on a great adventure and see the world. One day, the king called all 3 of his daughters to the court and made an important announcement in front of everyone. He said that all 3 of you will take turns guarding the garden at night, so that the thief can be caught. Whoever catches this thief or learns his secret will be given half of the kingdom as a reward. On the first night, it was Zareen's turn, and she sat on a soft cushioned chair and began to comb her hair. After a short while, she fell asleep while sitting comfortably, and the night passed quietly without any resistance. In the morning, when she woke up, 1 golden apple was missing, and she could do nothing about it. The next night, it was Naira's turn, and she brought food and drinks and sat comfortably in the garden. She kept eating continuously and eventually fell asleep, while in the darkness of the night, the thief continued his work. By morning, another apple was missing, and the king's worry increased even more at that time. Now, on the 3rd night, it was Ayla's turn, and she stood before her father with firm determination. There was a shine of determination in her eyes, and she promised that she would stay awake at all costs. Sultan Zion hugged her and prayed that Allah would grant her success and keep her protected always. Ayla went to the garden and hid under the dense shade of a large tree and began to wait quietly. She had a small bow and arrow with her, which she had been using since childhood. The night grew deeper, and a strange magical fragrance began to spread in the air, hinting at some unique secret. The night grew deeper, and in the silence, suddenly, a strange light slowly began to descend from the sky. The fragrance in the air became stronger, as if a mixture of fire and flowers was giving birth to a magical moment. Suddenly, a flame-like bird descended from the sky and quietly moved straight toward the golden tree. Sparks of fire were coming from its wings, and its eyes were shining with golden and red light. The bird sat on the tree and plucked a golden apple and began to eat it as if it were its daily routine. Ayla held her breath and watched this magical creature in amazement, whose beauty was beyond description. But she did not lose courage and slowly lifted her bow and began preparing to take aim. She released the arrow, which passed, touching the bird's wing and caused it a slight injury. The bird screamed in pain and immediately spread its wings and flew toward the sky with speed. But one of its burning feathers fell to the ground, which was still glowing with light. Ayla immediately ran and picked up the feather, which was hot but did not burn her hands. At morning, she returned to the palace with joy and amazement and told everything to her father. When Sultan Zion saw the shining feather, the entire court was illuminated by its light. The king was surprised, but he said that he wanted the whole bird, not just a single feather. He announced that whoever would bring this firebird would be given half of the kingdom. Zareen and Naira also decided to try and quickly set out on their own journeys. But despite searching for many days, both of them failed and returned back tired. They said that the bird was not seen anywhere and no trace of it was found. Now Ayla asked her father for permission that she herself would go to find that bird. The king showed concern, but Ayla convinced him by speaking about her courage and her dream. Ayla took a small sword, some necessary supplies, and her white mare and set out on her journey. She entered a dense forest where the trees were very tall and the sounds of animals echoed everywhere. Suddenly, she saw a fox near the bushes in an injured condition, groaning with blood flowing from its leg. Ayla immediately got down from her horse, and compassion arose in her heart for that helpless animal. She gathered herbs from the forest, crushed them, and carefully tied them onto the fox's wound. After some time, the fox took a breath of relief and silently began to look at Ayla in surprise. Then it spoke in a human voice and said, "Princess, you have helped me without any greed." Ayla was surprised, but the fox told her that it was a magical creature and knew everything. It said that the firebird is the guardian of the forest, but it has been imprisoned in a distant fortress. Ayla made the fox her friend, and both of them began to move forward together on this journey. On the way, the fox told her that, with the power of this bird, anyone could become powerful forever. Crossing mountains and passing through a fast river, they finally reached a shining copper fortress. The fortress was shining like the sun and the moon, and its walls were glowing with a strange light. Ayla carefully entered inside and saw that the bird was imprisoned in a golden cage. Its wings were giving off a weak light, as if it was longing for freedom and silence. As soon as Ayla tried to touch the cage, suddenly alarm bells began ringing loudly. Soldiers came running and captured Ayla and presented her before the king of the fortress. That king was tall, with a stern face and greedy nature, and his eyes shone with deception and power. He asked in a harsh voice, "Who are you, and why have you come here secretly into my fortress?" Ayla bravely replied that she was a princess and wanted to free the firebird. The Copper King laughed loudly and said that your courage is admirable, but the condition must be fulfilled. He said that if you can bring the golden-haired horse from the Silver Fortress, then the bird will be yours. Ayla did not lose courage and came out of the fortress and quietly told everything to the fox. The fox smiled and said that it would help her and would make this task possible with a trick. Both of them set out toward the Silver Fortress, where everything appeared shining and bright. The fox transformed itself into a beautiful horse and instructed Ayla to present it. Ayla did the same and in exchange for the real horse, left the fox and quickly came away from there. In this way, she successfully returned to the Copper Fortress with the golden-haired horse. The king was happy to see the horse, but his greed had still not ended. He said that now you must bring Prince Rayan from the Golden Fortress. Only then will you get the bird. Ayla and the fox set out on the journey again, and began moving toward the golden fortress with hope. There, in a beautiful room, Prince Rayan was sleeping deeply in a quiet environment. His face was shining, and his golden hair was glowing beautifully in the soft light. Ayla stopped upon seeing him, and a strange attraction began to be felt in her heart. As soon as she went closer, the prince woke up and looked at Ayla in surprise. Ayla told her entire story and clearly explained the purpose of her journey. Prince Rayan was impressed by her bravery and kindness, and love awakened in his heart. He said that he was tired of this captivity and wanted to go with Ayla to be free. Both of them decided to travel together and promised not to leave each other. Taking the bird, the horse, and the prince, they set out on the journey back with joy and hope. While talking on the way, their love kept growing deeper, and their bond became stronger. One day, they all became tired and stopped under a large tree to rest. Meanwhile, Zareen and Naira, burning with jealousy, followed them and reached there. Seeing the opportunity, they pushed Ayla and threw her into a deep well mercilessly. They threatened Prince Rayan, tied him up, and took the bird and the horse and went toward the palace. They lied to the king that Ayla had died and that the success was because of them. But the magical fox pulled Ayla out of the well and immediately brought her out safely. Ayla asked in sorrow why her sisters had done this to her with such cruelty. The fox said that jealousy blinds the heart and never lets it see the truth. Gathering courage, Ayla set out again toward the palace to bring the truth before everyone. In the palace, preparations for Zareen's wedding with Prince Rayan were going on with great excitement. Ayla arrived and immediately freed the bird, whose cry illuminated the entire palace. As the light spread, everyone was amazed, and Prince Rayan freed himself. He immediately ran toward Ayla and told the truth in front of everyone in full detail. When Sultan Zayan learned the truth, he became very angry and began to deliver justice. Zareen and Naira were punished for their bad actions so that it could become a lesson for everyone. Ayla and Prince Rayan's wedding was celebrated with great splendor in an atmosphere of joy. The magical bird flew freely in the sky and continued to illuminate the kingdom with its light. The fox became their true friend and continued to live with them with loyalty. In this way, everyone began to live happily, and peace and love always remained in the kingdom.